My name is Dr. Edt811 Lesson. Once again, I want to welcome you to lesson 6 of Edt811. That is the communication process we've started from this lesson 1. Now today we shall discuss on model of communication. We're familiar with the communication right from time, but today we discuss on model of communication. Communication can be verbal, can be and non-verbal. That is how we communicate. We use our body language. We use so many sign symbols as non-verbal communication. So the model of communication shed light on the development of communication, but emphasize on different parts of the communication process. We shall know the various parts which we have explained before. So in this lesson, we shall look into the two prominent communication model which are relevant to classroom situation, which we normally use in education. So we discuss on David Ballou model of communication and Aaron Laswell model of communication. So that's what we're going to discuss today. So let's go to the class, and you are welcome. Let's go. Now you're welcome back to the class. Once again, my name is Dr. Edt811 Lesson, and the course title is Theories of Communication and Philosophical Basis of Instructional Media. This is Edt811. So today what are we going to learn? We are going to discuss on model of communication. So there are two prominent model of communication that we normally use in the education. So learning outcome will be on the analysis of David Ballou model of communication, and then we're going to examine Aaron Laswell model of communication. So let's take it one after the other. David Ballou model of communication. In the field of communication, there have been a lot of theories or models that have been developed over the years by people in order to improve communication flow. David Ballou is one of the people that developed such model, and the model is developed was named after him as David Ballou's model of communication. So David Ballou believed that for effective communication to take place, the source and the receiver need to be on the same level. So he designed the SMCR model of communication, which is linear in nature with 4 elements of communication, which include sender, message, channel, and receiver, which were later modified to what we are seeing on the screen to include feedback, because there are a lot of critiques and arguments from the other experts in the field. So David Ballou he has this component of communication in the diagram. So we have source, we have message, we have channel, we have the feedback, and then we also, if you remember, we've discussed about the noise, which are factors that hinder the flow of communication. And David Ballou believed that from the source, the sender can affect, the noise can affect the flow of communication right from the source before we even get to the message. And then that is why we have the arrow here. We have the arrow here that we can see how it is can affect the flow of communication. There are so many factors as regard to that. We have psychological factor, we have physiological factor, and the physical factor. So for David Ballou, he believed that sender, which is the source, is the originator and the source of the message, and then the communication flow from the source to this message, and then from message to the through the channel and to the receiver, and it has the feedback. Feedback is the response from the receiver that communication is being decoded. So David Ballou believed that from the source, which this is the line in which we relate it to the classroom situation. He said, who can be the source? The source in the classroom could be the teacher, could be the pupils, could be the resource person, and could be as well the media, that instruction materials that we make use in the classroom. Now the question will now be, how can a teacher be the source of the communication. Teacher is the source of communication in the sense that he is the originator of the communication, because he has the communication, he has the lesson content that you want to pass to the student in the classroom. And since we have the teacher as the source, why the people is the source as well. When the student also contributing in the classroom, they also serve as the source, because they are the one that owns their communication. They are the ones that owns their message that they want to pass. So the source person can only be called upon in the classroom to talk about a particular concept to the student, while the media as well, if we have any instructional materials that can be displayed, and from itself it can also communicate to the student. So if you put on the television for documentary, so for the student, we allow the documentary to play on, which also give out the communication, the message to the student, and it serves as a source from there. So from this line, you see that the line which has the source, noise can affect the source of the information, which can also even initially also affected the message that we pass. And this one can be done if the source or the sender himself has a problem in these three categories, like the physiological problems, psychological problem, and physical problem. So from there we have the message. The message in the classroom, they are the lesson content. They are the lesson content. They are the behavior we expect the student to change to, and they are the skill that is being acquired from the lesson by the information from the teacher. So the channel could be through here, could be through instruction media, could be any media at which the message is being passed through to the receiver. So the receiver as well, they are the pupils, they are the audience. But in the classroom, they are the pupils, which are students. And as well, why do we put teacher here? Teacher as well can serve as the receiver anytime the pupils have message to deliver or their contribution. Then we normally change the teaching style, where we have the student to contribute from the lesson, and at times we have a student group where one group will be talking, and in that regard they also serve as a source, and the teacher will be the receiver. So the with communication have been used in the classroom, and communication originates from the senders to the receiver. So that's how it is being used. So the final stage of communication model is the receiver, which I've explained, and the feedback. These are the response, they are the reply from the receiver. And in the classroom as well, most of the time the teacher asks question, and the question can be asked in order to know the level at which the instruction have taken place. So we set exam, we use a continuous assessment so as to ensure that the message, the instructional content that teacher have been delivering for the student, they are really actually achieved. So this is the feedback. And most of the time, when as a person, when we make call and the receiver is still complaining that I cannot hear you very well, I cannot hear, it means there's no feedback and communication have not taken place. And in the classroom as well, if the teacher have explained the lesson content, have discussed to the student, and at the end of the day, the student, they find it difficult to get the message well, it means there's no, the feedback is faulty, and we have not communicated because of the problem with the feedback. So that is about the Balog model of communication. Now it has this element of communication, this element in its models. We have the source. The source is the encoder, which also serves as the sender. We have the message. The message in the classroom is the lesson content, the elements that can be that constitute the message, the treatment, and the codes. The treatment in the classroom, these are the treatment the teacher exposes the student into for learning to take place. So we have the channel. The channel involves the hearing, the seeing, the touching, the smelling, and the testing. So the receiver, they are the audience in the classroom, which are the student. They also refer to as the decoder and the destination. where the feedback is the reply, the result, and the outcome of the lesson content. So these have been the David Barlow models of communication, and to really, if we relate it to the classroom situation, is the best model so far that you can make use of. So that is about the David Barlow model of communication. Let's go to the next one, which is Edt811. Edt811 model of communication. Edt811 describes an art of communication by defining who said it. So who said it, then we also go further by saying that what was said. Then he also have it in that when we have who said it, what was said, then in what channel that have been said, and then he has it it was said. So, and then to whom it was said, and with what effect it was said. So these are the things that Edt811 is an expert in communication, and he also argue with the David Barlow model of communication that he lacks some element, which later the David Barlow have been modified to include the feedback. So he has his own as Edt811 model of communication. This particular picture we have here, there is a difference there. So this one has to come with another box, like as we have seen the arrow here, it has to come with another box here. So this one is the correct one. So we can have it in which channel. Should be here. In which channel? Let's put it there. In which channel? That is these are the elements of communication in the Edt811 model of communication. In which channel? Which also have been another model of communication that can be used in the classroom as well. In which channel? Let's finish it so that we have a complete drawing. In which channel? So let's put L here. So in which channel? Then the arrow continues. Like this. So this is about the Edt811 models of communication. This models is about process of communication and its functions to society. The Edt811 model of communication is a framework for critiquing and deconstructing the element involved in mass communication. So if we have what the element in the model, we have who, like what we have for the first one here. We have who. From my earlier explanation, the who, which means who said it. We have the sender, we have the encoder, we have the communicator, and in the classroom we have who said it. In the classroom, who said it? That is the teacher. If we are going to relate it to David Barlow model of communication. And the next one is says what. If you check the diagram, you see it in that regard. Says what, like from my explanation before, you can say that what was said. Says what was said. So what was said could be the message, that is, we are expecting the message in the classroom, the content, the element, the treatment that the student were exposed to, and the course. That is what was said, and in the diagram we have it as says what. So in which channel? The channels are the medium. If you remember, like in the David Barlow communication, we have the channel here. As the medium or media at which the communication is processed. Now, the same thing with the David Aaron Laswell, in which channel, which is the medium, then to whom that channel, in which channel it was said, in which we can ask, in which channel it was said. That is the completion of the element. In which channel it was said, we can now say that the medium that's used to deliver the instruction or the message. So the next one is to whom, which could also be said to whom it was said, to whom it was said, to whom it was said. And to whom it was said we refer to as the receiver, the decoder, and the destination at whom we expect the message to reach. So to whom it was said, to whom, that is to whom it was said. So the next one is with what effect, with what effect, with what effect. There is an arrow here as well that you can put to this place. That's an arrow here. So we have arrow here as well. So with what effect, with what effect it was said, with what effect it was said, it was said. So with what effect it was said refer to as the feedback, the reply, the result, and the outcome. You can now see that there is a relationship between the David Barlow model of communication and the Aaron Laswell model of communication. So Aaron Laswell model is under the psychological model of communication, and this psychological model of communication is concerned with the effect of message as well as its source and distinction. So in psychological model of communication, the most of time ask question like who says what, in which channel, and with what effect, which we have all explained. So let's go to the class activities and what is there. As a teacher, how will you translate David Barlow model of communication to classroom situation? So the much about this will be explained in the classroom when we have interaction. Thank you so much, and God bless you. You're welcome.